What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. This morning, I saw a video by Dogg916. And I want to start this video by saying I didn't even know that Nate was still putting out content. So those of you that are willing, do me a favor. Go on over to Nate's channel. Subscribe to his channel. Check out his stuff. Nate and I were in New Folsom together, same facility. I told a story about the handball court once. He did a story. He was there during the time. He was there, so he did his version of the same event. I don't like I always say, I don't really watch any of the prison genre anymore. I haven't in a while, and so none of it pops up on my thing. But this morning, thankfully, this one did, and I'm glad to see Nate still around. I have interacted with Nate through YouTube and stuff a couple of times, and he's always been very respectful. And he's not sugarcoating nothing. So go ahead and check out his channel. Now, he did a video today, and the title is what got me. And it was something along the lines of all YouTubers dropouts. And you know, I just did a video earlier on the DropOuts channel. Go ahead and check it out if you haven't. And in the video, I said, people use these terms without even knowing what the terms mean. Now, if you're on YouTube, then you're in bad standings and this and that. The blacks politic completely different. So I don't think anyone has ever thought that those statements or that type of statement applies to any of the blacks. But it's funny to me, and more than funny, it's sad. It's ridiculous that people on the streets are using prison terminology in regards to content creators, right? So people obviously do not know what a dropout is. I've already done a video on this. A dude that's PC or SNY is not the same as a dropout. They're different things. A dude that goes to the cop because he's a coward or he got himself in a debt, and he goes to the PC or the SNY yard, whatever you want to call it, he just goes over there. A guy who's a dropout actually has to get a chrono from the state of California clearing him to be on the yard with those kind of people. And not everybody on those yards gets those chronos because they were never involved in anything. So I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but it's funny how they all say that when there's two completely different categories of people. I want to say right now, shout out to Neil Dezad. Neil Dezad is a guy. He was doing YouTube, then he did rap and stuff, and you know he was on another podcast, and it's a podcast who's never been to prison. I don't think was ever really involved in the streets, just on the periphery, and he has this new thing. He used to be in my comments shouting me out all the time and you know showing love, and now he has this thing where he because his views are so bad, he's invested a lot of money in his platforms, but his views are so terrible that he wants to just troll people, hence the name of his channel. But he tried to bait Neil Dezad in, you know, he did an Adam 16 thing, excuse me. And he asked Neil Dezad a question, and Neil Dezad spoke the truth. And it's a truth that just about everyone who's been to prison or is really in their neighborhoods knows. There are dudes who are dropouts. There are dudes who were deemed no good. That had nothing to do with them being a coward. It had nothing to do with bad charges. It had nothing to do with bad paperwork. And those individuals will still kill you without any hesitation. Unfortunately for them, they were on the losing end of some politics. That's all it was. And Every neighborhood has that. And the ugly secret, but common knowledge is most barrios don't care about their homeboys that went to the other side that didn't rat or have a bad charge. There are a crew in every neighborhood that are the political dudes that do care about that, right? But then on YouTube, you got these dudes that want to point out this, and that about everyone else. And it's like, your resumes should make other people's names heavy on your jaw, heavy enough to break your jaw. The fact that you speak on people and you've never walked in that path, it's just a trip, man. And so it was unfortunate to see that Nate Dogg felt that he had to address that, when I think everyone knows that that label is never applied to black content creators, never would be. Regardless of whatever their standings were in prison. Because, see, part of that comes from forever it was, if you're a raza, you couldn't be on camera, period. Now, what people don't understand is that was before the whole internet and all that. It came out back then. And it was because you could have media come and hit a yard, right? And they catch a youngster by himself and they ask the youngster a question. And the youngster answers that question thinking, well, it's not a hoota, I can answer this question. But the answer could get him washed up or killed. And so it was put in place. Nobody talks to the media. That way nobody slips up, says the wrong thing, and then winds up getting hurt. That it was really that's like the bottom line. That's what it was. But in other people's minds that don't know anything, it was this whole omerta thing, and come on, man, it was protection. It's just like when they made it to where when somebody gets hit on the yard, say the Southerners whack somebody on the yard, and then they made it to where 2 weeks later they would come around and they would do interviews, and you had to interview. So your cell, they would come to your cell. Hey, what happened out there? I don't know. I wasn't out there. All right, and they'd write it down. And the administration didn't like that because, see, when they come to the cell, they're not going to really get any info. So what they did is they started making it to where you got to go down to the office. So then we were like, okay, so we're both going, and we will both go to the office. The administration didn't like that. So they were like, no, one at a time. And it was like, it ain't happening. So there's always counterbalances, because you want to make sure that nobody, because the Judas will try to trick a youngster into saying the wrong thing and then put him out there, and he's going to get hit. So a lot of these rules are put in place because not everybody has the intelligence to go and do the verbal gymnastics that are necessary in order to pump the cops for information and not slip up and give information yourself. You know, I've talked about, I used to study the Judas, and I would find out which Judas didn't like each other. And then I would engage them, like when I was yard crew, for an example, I would engage them in conversation, and I would play them off of each other. And it was amazing how much they were willing to say because of their ego and their hatred of their coworker. And it would become valuable because we would be able to figure out, and it wasn't just me, it was other bottles, but that were capable of doing that and not slipping, right? And we would know a lot of times who they were focused on. Like, it was a lot of stuff you could find out by playing people's egos. That's a whole different thing. I don't know. Maybe I'll do a video on it. Maybe I already have. I've done so many damn videos. I don't know. But I just wanted to do this video right here and just say it really is a trip, man. It really is a trip how on social media, people that don't know anything about something, especially behind the wall stuff. Like, if you weren't there, I promise you, those of you content creators that have never been in prison, or even if you were, but you weren't around certain types of people and you didn't get to understand their mentality, how they think, how they work, how they do things, when you speak of them and you speak of the game, it becomes very, very apparent to those who really were around it and involved and you know, all that. It becomes very apparent the lack of education that you have. Keeping it real, I don't know if people know there's probably 90% of those in prison don't have a firm grasp on what is going on within their own ranfla. See, people will be fed superficial stuff in order to get them to act a certain way. You know, this is an old philosophy. This is, I believe, Socrates and Plato taught this, I believe. I know it was Socrates had something along this line. In order to get someone to do something, the best way to get them to do it is to make them think it was their idea. So there's a lot of things that go on in prison, and a lot of these dudes that, you know, these so-called prison experts, they don't realize that they're a lot of them are part of the 90%. They never really had those in-depth, face-to-face conversations with the policymakers, the legends themselves, to see how they think and what is the goal. Instead, they were fed what they were needed for their ego in order to get something done. It's a cold world. It's a cold game. But we're going to still be on YouTube, and people are still going to play the role like they know what time it is, and they're going to continue to look like fools to those that do know. My advice would just be, man, whatever you do know and you know you're knowledgeable in, go that route, man. But there's a lane for everybody, man. At some point, somebody is going to label somebody something, and someone is going to get hurt. It's inevitable. Somebody is going to lose their lives over someone labeling them. And the Judas are going to come knocking sooner or later. And good luck with that, because the time you should have been willing to go to prison, you weren't. And you definitely aren't now. A lot of you guys have families now, and you're in your 30s and 40s and stuff. And if they come and they wash you up when you're 30 or 40, ya estuvo. Buenas noches. That's your pad. And you're going to be there for the rest of your life. You know, if you're going to catch a life sentence or a stretch, you kind of want to do it when there's a teen involved. Like I was 19, you know, there's a teen involved in your age. Maybe 20, 21, 23, I would think is about the max to get action, to maybe be able to get out. But then again, once you get behind those walls, you may have to kill somebody or die in the process. Who knows? But if you keep doing the things you're doing, you may find out. Or then again, the true you might come out. Some of you guys, you know what you're going to do. You weren't trying to do it the first go around when it really mattered and you were supposedly supposed to be in the streets. But it's my video for today, man. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them. I'm out of here.